Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Somos Moss, the official podcast of Somos Moss NM, and your source for the latest news and notes on New Mexico United and the New Mexico Runners. My name, of course, is Seth Bidoff. Joining me this time is the not so on time Jacob Terrell. Jacob, you're here, and we're glad that you're here. Earl is not with us this evening. It looks like you got a new background you were teasing over on social media today.
Do have a little bit of a new background. I got a new shirt on. So I've got most of the scarves that I have up on the wall behind me. I've got, I think I have one that I was going to put up, but couldn't find at the time. And I have since found it. So it might change a little bit more by the next week. But yeah, took the posters down, went with something a little different, got some old school up there. I got, year one up here. I got Cardiff with Brucey's signature over here from year one. I got the inaugural curse scarf from year one. But then I got some new stuff here. I got the Meow Wolf ones from last year. I got the Black and Yellow Army from last year. The season ticket holder scarf from last year. So yeah, just wanted to change it up. Didn't know what it was going to look like until I started putting it together and ended up with just the scarves. And I think it looks good. So we're going to roll with it.
I was going to ask, did Allie make you take down the posters?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, I'm at the same wall, so doesn't matter. She liked most of the posters anyways. The Phoenix one, which is the cactus heads. She didn't care for that one, but other than that, she didn't mind them. So decided to roll with the scarves just for a change for the new season, basically.
All right. Fair enough.
I see something hanging. You change the angle at least, so we.
I did. So those were always hanging there,
right? But you change the angle, so we get a little bit different look at them. That's good.
Yeah. So I'm trying something a little different with the camera since I do have the dual screen set up. Like I realized that when I had it before, when the camera was right here, that I was constantly looking like I was like looking up. And I wasn't, so I was looking down. It didn't look like I'm looking at you guys. So now I'm trying to I've got the screen here. I can look directly at the camera, talk to the folks there, or I can look at here and it just be slightly off, and look like I'm actually looking at you and whoever else is with us. So just trying something a little different, Nice. I liked the way it looked last week. And so I think I'm going to keep doing it. So
I honestly, with everything going on last week, I did not realize it because I was looking at my phone, which was a screen that was like, your box was like maybe this big. So yeah, I like the new look there.
Speaking of last week, if you missed last week's episode, we got the chance to talk to head coach and technical director Zach Prince. Coach Prince joined us last week for the full hour of the show, hit on a whole bunch of different topics, talking about roster changes, expectations for this season, and a whole bunch of other things. So if you haven't checked that out already, I know a bunch of you already have. We had a ton of listens to the podcast last week. Good. Across every different platform and multiple episodes. So you guys killing it. I think I was looking at the data earlier. We had over 600 total listens to the podcast last week.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was across multiple episodes. So I don't know what you guys are listening to, but thank you. Absolutely fantastic week for us, analytics wise. Appreciate you guys so much. I also realized last week that we finally, I don't know if you remember this, Jacob, but we were getting referral credit for quite a while.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have been getting referral credit. That finally ran out this month. Yeah. It finally ran out at the beginning of the month. And I didn't realize it. And that's on me. So we actually lost we ran out of referral credit and the price went up because it kept trying to bill my card, which is an old bank card. So it actually canceled our subscription and reduced us to 10 episodes, the 10 most recent episodes. And so everything got thrown back up once I paid for it. And our price went up, which I was a little bit bummed about because we've been using Pinecast for a couple years now. And, but hey, everything is up. It's running. Every single episode is live once again across every single, or at least all the major podcast carriers. Robert over in the chat, appreciate you joining us. So, yeah. So guys, if you see that, if you're interested in making a podcast, we use Pinecast for our host. Fantastic service. I do have two different shows Jacob and I do another one, which we haven't done in quite a while, called Dad Ventures. We also have this one, basically unlimited basically unlimited episodes, unlimited data, up and down every month. So yeah, it's great. There is a referral link that gets posted in every episode description. So if you're interested in doing a podcast, I highly suggest using Pinecast. Really great service. I do enjoy using them. So check that out. But yeah, no, everything was great. Like last week's show was absolutely fantastic. Again, go check that out if you haven't. And yeah, I mean, let's just jump right into it. Obviously, Earl's not with us, which is disappointing because WrestleMania is this week.
Ooh.
WrestleMania is Saturday and Earl's not here.
I feel like a WrestleMania pod needs to happen then.
We just might, depending on what Earl's schedule is the rest of the week, we might be able to make that happen. My week has been tremendously busy. I've got, Gaffle first full week of the season is this week. So extended practices, a lot of different things going on. New part-time job picking up as well. So yeah, staying awfully busy.
I mean, you do live on Central, so
that
we all know it.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I do live on Central, so and that's
I probably shouldn't have said that on the pod.
No, it's probably as specific as I'm going to get. So
Central's a big place.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we haven't announced it. And I've told you guys, but I did pick up a position part-time with ESPN Radio 117, the team here in town. I'll be doing a bit more content for them, a little bit more involved at the radio station. So a lot of good things happening there. Podcast is not going away. We're not going away from that. So yeah, just a lot of things going on. But if Earl can find the time, we'll do a WrestleMania cast at some point later this week. So big week for Earl. Obviously the 2-night event is this weekend, Saturday and Sunday evening. If you haven't been up to speed on that.
Knowing where Earl is at in his personal life and how he is somewhat disappeared from the show at times, I especially wrestling wise, every time there's a main wrestling event, I text him about it, and he's like, "Well, I'm not even watching."
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's what's been going on the past couple months for the premium line events.
My bet is he probably doesn't even remember it's WrestleMania. He's like,
he might not. He might not at this point, with like you said, everything that he's got going on. So, Earl, we kid. We do miss you here on the show. You were here last week. Great addition, and a lot of good discussion. So yeah, hopefully Earl gets back to a regular schedule here before too long, at least before you ship out. So yeah, if you guys are both gone, I mean, I might have to bring on, someone else. So,
well, the plan was to do that anyways for at least a little bit. So
yeah.
Well, I think that's enough housekeeping.
Yes, that is. Yeah, there's been a lot of news. Not all of it great. There's been some good news, some bad news. Jake, we talked about the new threads. You got the new kit. Let's just jump right into this. Like over the weekend, the Black and Yellow Bash happened over at Electric Playhouse. You were obviously in attendance. You sent us a video of some things. So I mean, talk to us about the Black and Yellow Bash. You've obviously been to it before.
I had not actually.
Oh, you hadn't? Okay, I thought you had.
That was my first time. Yeah, it was a great event. I mean, Electric Playhouse. I don't know if you've ever been to Electric Playhouse. For those of you, I love
that place.
For those of you that haven't, it's kind of interactive. It's like not quite Meow Wolf, but still pretty fun.
It's more digital.
Yeah, more technology driven. But has a lot of different screens and a lot of interactive things you can do on said screens. They have a soccer pitch.
I was going to ask you about it. Did the kids like that?
We didn't take the kids.
Oh, okay.
We had a date night. Had a mother-in-law watch the kids. We actually stayed in Albuquerque. With the baby coming next month, we needed one more night away. Just the two of us to kind of relax and recharge. So we dropped the kids off. We went up there. It's a ton of United fans in one place, which other than the games, you're not going to get that. And these are like the diehards. These are the season ticket holders and the guys that have been there I've saw so many faces that I recognized from day one, basically from match day one back in 2019. So Yeah, we got there. We walked around. I ran into a couple of the players. Had a small conversation with Chris Hurst, not Chris Hurst. Sorry, Greg Hurst. Got my Hursties mixed up there. Greg Hurst. Just briefly, he seemed like a real genuine dude. Wanted to talk longer, but he got pulled away. So, and then I had my own small Dad Ventures podcast episode with Coach. Because the timing was just right. He was coming one way, we were going the other way. Nobody else was around us, so me and Allie stopped and talked to him for almost 5 minutes. I mean, had a great conversation about kids and family life and the season ahead a little bit, and then stuff started. They brought the captains up. Coach said a few words. They brought the captains up. Then Pete got on the mic and mentioned, "Hey, isn't this a jersey reveal?" And about that time, the players left, and this video played.
Allow us to introduce ourselves. We are a community thousands of years in the making. A community that represents rich history, unique art, and vibrant landscapes that define the essence of natural beauty. But we are more than a pretty face. We're a community of creators that's driven by strength, by grit, and by the natural toughness that's only found in the high deserts of the land of enchantment. We know hard work, and we know hard play. We know the best things in life come from passion, from drive, adventure, and tradition. We celebrate the good times. We eat, we drink, we dance. And we know how beautiful it is to unite the diverse. We celebrate the past while we boldly push our town, our state, and our people to never seen before heights. So if you find yourself tucked in Sangre de Cristo Mountains, in the intersection of history and tomorrow, stop by and see it for yourself. The majesty, the magic, and the marvel of Taos.
Yeah, another fantastic kit reveal from the creative team over at New Mexico United. I mean, you know what? I said something in our chat the other night. I think I put it over on social media. I said, "Now this is how you do a kit reveal." Compared to some of the others we've seen.
Yeah, I don't know who you were taking shots at there, but
Phoenix.
But yeah, I mean, it's just incredible the amount of attention to detail and community work that this team does in every aspect. And then you have yeah, exactly. Thank you, Tom. And then you have just the awesome kit sponsors that we have. I mean, Crane Shares might be like the only dud that we've ever had, and that wasn't like,
I think it's just because no one knew Crane Shares was.
And that was just like year one. They didn't know what they could do with it, and I think that was just like the deal that was struck right then and there. And then they quickly realized, oh hey, we can do a bunch of different other things. So we've got the New Mexico True, we had Electric Playhouse, we have Meow Wolf, obviously, and now Visit Taos. And you just, I mean, it is just awesome to watch what they do with these kit reveal videos. And when Phoenix's came out, I showed my wife, and she saw it and was like, okay. And then I showed her basically all of ours and how different they were and how much better they were. And it was just like night and day compared to what some of these other teams are doing. And I will go out on a limb and say that we kind of kicked off what kit reveals are now. Like, this year we saw like Louisville and who was the other decent one? Indy had a decent one. I mean, there's been a ton of them, and until we kind of kicked it off in year one, basically with Meow Wolf and stuff like that, nobody else seemed to be doing that. And now you get some. They're still not perfect. I think we still are the best. Yeah, Charleston's was really good. Thank you, Tom. I guess that's a good shout because Charleston was probably the best one of the year other than ours. And I actually might say it was the best one of the year. I loved ours, and I understand that Visit Taos is the sponsor. It is essentially a tourist video for Taos. It's just an awesome one. But Charleston's was really good. And then you have teams like Phoenix that are seeing what everybody else is doing, and they try to do it, and they just can't. Poor souls over there. But yeah, the kits are fantastic. Obviously, I bought one. I'm wearing one. The turquoise is just it
pops.
It does. At first, I was like, "Is that really much different than the Electric Playhouse one?" But I have an Electric Playhouse one, and I compared it, and it is drastically different. The mint, the Playhouse one is basically mint, and it's more green than blue. So this just, I mean, it really, really looks nice. The lines on it are just, it's just great. It's a great kit. To have this as our third kit to go with our black and yellow kits from last year, I mean, it's got to be the three best kits in the league as far as I'm concerned as a package. And yeah, I think we knocked it out of the park yet again. So then after the kit reveal, they brought every player up that is on the roster card, which I seem to have forgot in the bedroom, but it has a little roster card. And then they set up tables so that everybody, after they brought everybody up on stage and announced them, then after that was done, they took them and split them up between two tables, had them in there, and you could get in line, go down the row, get one of those roster cards. They would sign the roster card for you and keep on going. And so I went through, I talked to Weehan about his new baby. I talked to Suggs about hunting. I talked to Bruce about the podcast that he was on, back in the off season, and how that, do you realize that was this off season? That feels so freaking long ago.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like years ago, and it was just this off season. He said he wanted to come back on if we'd have him. So got to do all that, got to meet the new players, Timothy and Sosa and Kelowna, and then there were two small leaks. One was they announced the roster, and as they're announcing the roster, they get to number 2, and they say a name that I did not recognize as far as being on the active roster. So I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. I'm sure Seth has that on lock, but a gentleman by the name of Milo, I butcher the first name too. I was supposed to verify all this stuff and didn't get a chance to, but because just so you know, when I hopped on the computer, we had just walked in the door. So I didn't get to prep as much as I usually do, but they announced him.
I believe it's Garvanian.
Yeah, sounds about right. And which we have since learned that it is not fully official. He has not, the move has not been approved by the league. I think they're probably pretty confident that it will, seeing as they announced him and he has a number and everything. But so yeah, there was that.
Yeah. So speaking of Milo, this is again completely out of the blue. Like we suspected a fourth signing was coming. We didn't have a name. We didn't know
he was with us in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
I had conversations about him with some people at the preseason match and a media day, and he looked really good and had been playing really well, but nothing was imminent. Didn't know if it was going to happen or not. So he's not coming in out of nowhere. He's been with the team basically the whole off season. So there's not going to be like a learning curve or anything like that. But yeah, just kind of a last second type of deal as far as we can tell.
Milo is actually a Albuquerque native. He did go to, I believe, Sandia Prep. I believe is where he went to college at UNC. So he played 4 years for the Tar Heels over there. He also played last season for South Georgia Tormenta FC2. And he was drafted during the 2022, the 2023 or 2022 MLS Super Draft by CF Montreal. So as far as we can tell, he never actually signed with Montreal. And of course, with Tormenta FC2 being USL League 2, it is an amateur or a semi-pro thing that a lot of collegiate athletes go in and play. So yeah, I believe this will be in fact his first professional contract. So again, this is of course still pending league and federation approval. So we're expecting him to be named officially any day now. So be on the lookout for him. He is a defensive mid, as far as I can tell. He's listed differently in different websites. So he does play more of a defensive mid position, but he can get forward, get some goals in. I believe he had 4 goals and 3 assists in his senior season, or his 5th year, I should say, with UNC. So
I believe I saw somewhere that he had played for the Soul as well.
I'll have to look
briefly, but I think I had seen that on Twitter that somebody had said a Soul sighting at the Black and Yellow Bash. So, but he was there. He was, signing autographs. All the young guys were there. I talked to Alex Wagner for a minute. Asked him how he was handling the fame. He said it was very weird, but he did enjoy it. Michael Waiparlo on Twitter after it called out the fans and said that they were amazing. And then, of course, everybody replied to that with, wait till you see us at the pit or at the lab. And several people said it's different here. And he said it truly is. So I think the Black and Yellow Bash was really good for the younger guys and these trialists that came in to really get to know the fans and get to meet them and talk to them. And we had a really good time with that. And then after they announced the team, before they split them up to do autographs, Peter got back on the mic. David, I don't want you to get PTSD. So if you're watching this, you might want to.
Yeah. This is if you haven't seen the video elsewhere, it did get posted on the New Mexico United subreddit.
Did it?
Yeah, it got posted on the New Mexico United subreddit. I couldn't exactly tell you how it got there. But yeah, this video was posted over there. And, David, you mentioned David had some PTSD potentially from this. So a big announcement, the big Pete leak, I should say.
So I'm going to, he gets on the mic and he's talking. He mentions before he even starts this conversation about what we're about to talk about, he says, and I'm almost quoting verbatim, he says, at the risk of another Pete leaks, and then he starts this conversation. And if I'm David Carl, I've got his mic mute button ready.
Right?
I'm like, no, man, he's just hovering. And so he comes up and it's pretty harmless at first. He of course talks about what every United fan has been wondering about since last November when the bill got denied for a bond here. And he says, hey, we secured the funding. You'll be hearing about plans for a stadium in the next 30 days or so. We went out, we did it. We didn't have to use the bond or anything like that. We've got it covered. We're going to do it. And then he basically is done. And then I don't know who it was, but somebody from the fans, one of the fans, of course, goes, well, where is it at? And and Pete goes, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you. I'm not going to tell you that. And then he says, it was kind of hard for me to hear. I couldn't quite hear it. I think somebody might have muted the mic because it does like start off loud and then gets quieter as he finishes this sentence. But he basically says, I will tell you that it rhymes with, I believe the words were lagoon, siesta, lark. I believe were the words that he used. I couldn't. Any ideas where that could be?
No, I mean,
We had
you
this
know,
times with. I don't know.
it's hard to say, especially if you're not familiar with the Albuquerque area, you might not, it's hard to figure out, Lagoon Siesta mark. So,
Yeah, lagoon. I don't know, but yeah. So of course that led to a ton of speculation. I spent probably close to an hour looking at the map, trying to figure out where it was going to go, would go, could go. Yeah, there you go. And we'll just have to see exactly where it's going to go. But it's, to my surprise, it's not going to be Mesa del Sol.
I was very surprised by that,
which is what I really, really thought it was going to be. But hey, that's okay. I'm okay with that. As somebody who's driving 2.5 hours to go to the matches anyways, whether I go south or north, I don't really care. So yeah, it just kind of dropped a bomb on us there. I know I can't imagine people that didn't want that to get out yet were very happy about it, but alas, we're here. We as media, quote unquote, had to kind of talk about it, had to bring it up. It's exciting, it's new, it's I mean, that alone was almost worth the price of admission to be there for that.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah,
this is something that everyone has been clamoring for the past several years. Stadiums. Where is the stadium going to be? We've asked Pete on a number of occasions. When are we going to hear something about a stadium? Where is the stadium going to be, and why is Mesa del Sol a front runner for that? So yeah, to find out that number one, it doesn't sound like it's going to be Mesa del Sol, because we had a few issues with Mesa del Sol, despite it being what we thought was the front runner, especially with the Mesa del Sol development group and the video they put out. With the renderings. But I mean, I honestly never even thought about this area. Like, obviously I knew there was. Obviously we know it's there because we're familiar with Balloon Fiesta and the area and all the different events that go on out there. I mean, obviously the Brewers and Distillers Cup is coming up, which the club has some ties to as well. But I mean, really, the question I have is, if you looking at this map here, over by Lagoon Siesta, you really can't go west of the river. So it's really got to be somewhere, I would think, in this area here. That's what I think.
The problem is that is all res.
West Pueblo, yeah. That's my question. So
because I was looking at it too. I have, if you're a hunter out there, of Onyx maps, and what's cool about Onyx is it has who owns what property basically everywhere. And so I was on that looking at it, and there's not a lot of land there that, unless they're either, there's two spots. There's going north into the Pueblo, and then there's a couple spots south that it could be if they're buying the land from the city of Albuquerque.
Yeah, that was my big question is with this land purchase, who are they dealing with? Is it the city? Is it the Pueblo? I mean, is there some sort of, if they are dealing with the Pueblo, is there some sort of naming rights that's going to go on with the Pueblo? I mean, there's a lot of different questions here. And if you think too, I mean, it's really not a bad area because they already know how to deal with traffic and things in that area because of all the different events at Balloon Fiesta Park, including the International Balloon Fiesta. And then, of course, you've got the Rail Runner, stop right there at the Pueblo. You've got Alameda, you've got Balloon Fiesta Parkway, you've got Tramway, you've got a number of ingress and egress points, which is one of the issues that we had with Mesa del Sol. So, I mean, realistically, it's not a bad area. But yeah, there's still a lot of questions there. And obviously we're going to get answers as soon as we can from Pete and the club. But if you're in the chat watching tonight, whether you're at Black and Yellow Bash or you're watching here with us tonight, what are your thoughts on this location, especially if you're familiar with the Albuquerque area? I would love to hear what you guys think about a stadium going up here. Now, I mean, obviously there's a lot of room on the east side of 40 here as well, between San Pedro and Louisiana. So, I mean, that's a possibility as well, because you have the ingress and egress, over by, could you imagine me right down the river, like Tin Can Alley, and all that stuff off of Paseo and Alameda, like that might not be a bad spot there too, you know?
Yeah, which I think this is kind of the brilliant of this Pete leak is he didn't say exactly where it was going to be. He just said near Lagoon Siesta, and so speculation will run wild for the next 30 days or however long until they actually put it out there. So I mean, the possibilities are still abundant, not endless like they were when we were looking at the whole city, but still abundant for sure. And the fact that we're going to find out like details sometime in the next 30 days, hopefully, is huge and exciting. And I frankly cannot wait.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I've been looking at this map a lot. I've been looking at it a lot already. I'm going to look at it some more. And I really feel like there's only a few spots here in this area that could go. So Tom in the chat, currently live in Bernalillo, so I'm stoked it's going to be so close. Yeah, exactly. You know, especially if you're someone that's coming down from Bernalillo, Santa Fe area. I mean, that's obviously going to be a significantly better drive than going to Mesa del Sol. And really, I mean, really, no matter where you're at in and around the metro, that's not a bad drive.
Especially if it's close to the freeway. I mean,
and it's most matches on Saturday, Sunday. Like you're not going to hit that Friday, that Friday night, Wednesday night nonsense, which mostly is coming back into town anyway.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. And like I said, I don't really care as far as distance wise. It's, I'm coming from a long way anyways. So a few more minutes or a few less minutes one way or another isn't going to really do anything for me. But it is huge if I could definitely see it being on the res on Sandia Pueblo, with Sandia being a pretty good sponsor anyways, having watch parties there last year. And I think, because
there's a lot of room up here too.
Yeah, I think for 2020, I think it was, they did the schedule release up there. They had a schedule release party up there. So yeah, they've done a lot with Sandia, and I think wouldn't be surprised if it ends up going in up there near Balloon Fiesta, where they could still utilize some of Balloon Fiesta's parking and some entrance and exits, like you said. And so, no, I think it's great. I think it's exciting. I would have been happy if they'd have said it was in China, maybe not China, but somewhere where I could drive to. So this is awesome. I can't wait. I know David had probably a couple of heart attacks throughout that night, but at the end of the day, it's over with. It's done. It can't be changed. The info's out there, so we had to talk about it, and we get to be excited about it and wait for the official announcement whenever that comes, and go from there. So yeah.
David, if you're listening, we are more than welcome to be a sounding board for you if you need to, vent and let some things out. Yeah, we're happy to listen. We're happy to have you on, of course, anytime. So just let us know. We'll gladly, listen.
How long do you think between them coming out with the announcement and groundbreaking, and then how long from groundbreak to finished product?
Gosh, that's the question. So if we're coming out within 30 days with a location, I mean, you've got to think that they're shooting for 2025 opening, because I don't see. I mean, I know 2024 is still a very long way away, but
with what we know about Peter and the club and his vision for this stadium, it is not going to be a pop-up.
No.
There will never be a pop-up. So it will be, we are in Istopes Park until this thing is done. And I don't think there's a chance in hell that it's going to be done by next year, obviously. So I think, we get the announcement in the next 30 days. From that point on, I think we got about 30 to 60 days till groundbreak happens. And then once groundbreaking happens, I think, like you said, that 2025 season, so March-ish of 2025 is when they're going to come out with gonna open it up, I think, is what my best guess is. And that's huge. I mean, that's massive.
Do you think any of the renderings that we've seen to this point are going to be used, or do you think they're okay?
No, I think it's going to be, they might use a couple pieces of it from here or there. But I think at the end of the day, it is going to be something something brand new as a whole. There's going to be some things in there that nobody else is doing. There's going to be some stuff in there that plenty of places do right now. But it's stuff that works and people love. So, we might see the at the 3252 with LAFC. I know you're not a fan, but their whole supporter section have seats and benches that go up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And so for concerts, they put them down. For games, they're pinned up, and it's just standing room only there. So there's no benches to get in your way. So everybody has enough room to move around and jump around and do all their stuff without hitting anything. And so I could see stuff like that. Maybe not that exact thing, but little things like that from some of these newer stadiums put in there. But as far as the renderings that we've seen, like, I don't think we're going to see a giant robot or anything like that. But
you mean we won't get the giant Dev statue outside?
Oh, we might get a Dev statue. I could see a dread-headed statue outside one of the openings for sure. But
of the renderings, I want to see the overhang. Those overhangs that they had in that one rendering.
Yeah.
I really want to see those. I think that'd be a great addition, particularly, to help the supporters in the summer.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think we'll see some cool stuff. I mean, if we've learned anything from the last 4 seasons, is that Peter does not like to do things half-assed. And so with Peter and the crew there, got Ron and Clint and everybody else that works their butt off in that back office or in the front office there. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be spectacular. The announcement in 30 days will probably be spectacular. There'll probably be a video or something that goes along with it. There'll be renderings. There might even be like a virtual tour already if they've already gone that far. Maybe that's why it's taken so long, because they already have everything planned and everything. I don't think the announcement is going to simply be a map with a dot on it saying, "Hey, we're going to build a stadium right there." That's not the way we do announcements here.
It's going to be one of those Google Maps zoom in things where it shows Peter with a big sign.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's going to be. And so there's going to be a video that goes along with it and some killer music. And I mean, it's going to be a thing for sure. And I don't even
better idea. Sorry, I just thought of it. It's going to be one of the Kevon Frater moonshots finally coming down to land.
No, that was Romario Williams.
Kev had some too.
Kev did have some. Romario is look. After Romario and Seymour's beef on Twitter, I'm fully against Romario now. So his moonshots, I mean, they're still in orbit. And it's going to land right where we're going to build a stadium finally. And then we can thank him for something finally and say, "Hey, thanks."
His ball landing to be the groundbreaker.
Yeah, we're just going to make a little crater.
Yeah.
Because it was in orbit for so long that it just turned into a meteor.
Yeah.
It just came down, landed. I mean, listen, United, if you end up stealing that idea, I want something in return. It can be as simple as another jersey. I don't care. I just want a little bit of credit for my intellect there that a meteor hits where we're going to land or where we're going to build. But no, it's great. I can't wait. Yeah, I mean, we've covered pretty much all of the good news.
Yeah,
that was.
I was just about to say, like, it's a lot of good news from over the weekend, and then yesterday,
let's bring everybody down a notch.
Yesterday, the other shoe dropped.
Yeah, everybody's flying too high to the sun, and we got burned a little bit.
Yeah, the news went public. We got it moments before everyone else did. The Mexico United announced that Christian Nava is going to miss the 2023 season due to a torn ACL suffered in training late last week, is what we're assuming. So yeah, it's
he was not at the Black and Yellow Bash. Him, Miles Merritt, and Andres Robles were the only ones that were not there. And we were all, I think the fans were very confused why the Golden Boy, Christian Nava, was not there. And then this breaks, and now it makes sense as to why he was not there. And my heart just breaks for him. But he's young. He's a scrapper. He's from Albuquerque High, from from Albuquerque his whole life. We know that he'll fight and he'll get back in this, and we'll see him on the pitch again. It's just not going to be in 2023.
Yeah, real quick, Coach Steve Famoletta from the New Mexico Runners over in the chat. Coach, we appreciate you popping in. We're doing well, man. Hopefully, you're doing well as well. I know it's been a tough season for you guys, so glad to see you. And we're gonna try to get you on here pretty soon.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, no, just terrible news for Christian. He's a kid that, obviously, first New Mexico United Academy product to graduate, sign a first team contract, and really looked tremendous at times last season for the Black and Yellow. And it's just a terrible blow. I mean, obviously we dealt with this, 2 years ago with Armando Moreno, who made his return last year. So, he's got someone there who's been through it and can help him, get through the emotional aspect of it, the physical aspect of it. And obviously, Armando's return shows that, these guys have got the support there behind them. But yeah, just terrible blow for Christian, just weeks after signing an extension through 2024. And he's someone that we were pretty high on this year. Yeah, I know you had an interaction with John Morrissey recently about why wasn't Christian Nava included in one of his tweets or players to watch.
Well, I understood why he wasn't, but I think there's a chance that the next time they do that. Well, I thought that there was a chance the next time they do that, Nava and Alex Wagner were both on there, but it's tough for him. I think he'll bounce back. What do you think it means for the team? How big of a loss is this really to our playoff chances, to just how you look at the season as a whole?
I think given the current roster makeup, including Milo, I feel like there's a few goals lost there. And I certainly think it means that we're going to be looking for someone else to bring in, to help kind of fill that role. Because I mean, Nava's he's an engine. He's a guy that can get forward. He's creative. He's just absolutely tenacious on and off the ball, and you could see it in some of the stuff some of the highlights from last year, some of the highlights that John Morrissey put out on Twitter. Nava with the ball at his feet is just unbelievably dynamic. Do I think it changes? Do I think it changes where we finished? No. But I do think there are a handful of goals lost there. I think there's a loss of some creativity when he's on the pitch, and just a loss of youth to an extent. So Coach Steve, been there, done that. He's young, still has a long career ahead of him. Yeah, I mean, we're certainly hoping so. ACL tears are not uncommon in sports these days, and I think the procedures to repair those and then the rehab process has just improved tremendously over the past several years. You go back looking at guys like Adrian Peterson and then Joseph Martinez and Armando Moreno, and just to name a few guys who've undergone ACL reconstructive surgery over the past several years, and they've all come back and show that they can still get out there and scrap with other guys. I mean, after AP had he came back and he was the leading rusher the next year in the NFL. So yeah, a lot of things there. And obviously, there's still a lot of time for Christian to still have a long career, as Coach Steve said.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I'm kind of in a similar boat. I don't think it hurts us as far as the standings or wins and losses too much. We will lose some creativity. It's early enough in the season, though, that I think we can, work around it. I don't know if we necessarily bring anybody in right away. I think we wait a little bit and see kind of what happens. But at the end of the day, I think it's a tough one. But I still have us doing fairly well, and we finally get to see that. See us back on the pitch again this weekend. We didn't have Weehan, so Nava started in that 10 role to an extent the last match against Miami, and so we've got Weehan to step in there and see where that takes us. But
do you think this opens up more opportunities for Miles Merritt?
It could. I still am curious to see what route he takes, if he's going to actually be a part of the plan this season at all, or if he's going to go to college or something like that. But it might open the door there for a younger player to step in. I think with the guys that we've announced, like Sosa and Milo to an extent, and some of the others, maybe it leaves the door open for them a little bit to see what they can do. But injuries happen. We know they happen. It sucks that it was Nava. You know, we all love Nava. We all want him to succeed and do well. And this isn't the end by any means. He'll definitely have a say in next year and possibly the years after that, just depending on what happens. So, but yeah, it sucks. It's definitely a downer topic from the Black and Yellow Bash that was mostly all fun and games and a good time. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a bummer.
Yeah, like you said, injuries happen, and the club just, I don't want to say the club just has to move on, but I mean, the season doesn't stop. Training doesn't stop. The schedule doesn't stop, and United does return to the pitch on Saturday night against Oakland Roots SC in Oakland. That's an 8:00 Mountain kickoff for us. Oakland already has 2 matches under their belt compared to R1. They're coming off of a draw with RGV. That was 1-1 a final.
They're coming off of a postponed match because their pitch is shit again. It never fails. Oakland's first home game, it just gets postponed. That's the way it's been. I think all 3 seasons they've been in the league.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm certainly didn't want to downplay that, but yeah, I was looking more at
I know
the play on the pitch, and so I have, from what I've seen of them so far, I haven't been terribly impressed. Obviously, they brought in some guys in the offseason. I felt like they didn't have a terrible offseason in terms of signings and who they brought in, but I just don't know about this team. They seem to have a number of issues from a logistical standpoint.
Yeah.
And so I know that does, have an adverse effect on the play on the pitch and how the players react. So.
I think we've noticed that the last 2 years they've made the playoffs both years, but they've been a team that the first 2 years of their existence have started slow and then slowly picked up pace as the season has gone on. And you can definitely look at the logistical things of the pitch and where they're going to play and what they're going to play on as far as the type of surface and everything, and see that as an issue. So the fact that this year they've started off a little slow, they have a problem with their home pitch, it just seems like business as usual. So I fully expect them to sneak into to the last playoff spot and upset somebody in round 1, because that's what they've typically done. So, but yeah, I'm not worried about them too much. Doesn't mean we're going to go in and get 3 points. We've only seen 1 match from United. It wasn't the prettiest offensive match by any means whatsoever. It was a solid defensive outing, and that's kind of what I think I expect from this one. I think a solid defensive outing with a goal. Maybe we get a second one as they're chasing a goal late or something like that. But I'm not expecting us to go in there and blow their doors off, but I'm also not expecting to get our doors blown off.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's so early in the season. Like, it's such a small sample size of what's been done by both clubs. So, I mean, yeah, it's really hard to say, what exactly is going to happen. It's like you said, Oakland does come on stronger later in the season. And so, I do kind of expect something similar from them this year. I don't think it takes them nearly as long to get going, but I just, I look at the schedule, I look who we've got, look who they've got. And, it's, I feel like this is one that we should at least go out and take a point off of.
For sure. And honestly, based off that Miami match, if you're just looking at it and what Oakland's done already, we should, at the very least, be able to hold them to a 0 and get a clean sheet, I think. It's just a matter of if that offense of ours can end up finding the back of the net. And I think if we hands back and we have, Santi and Amando and Hurst and Harry or Bruce, in there to give us a little bit of diversity, I think that offense can do something, and we can end up getting out of there with 3 points and a win. But if we come out of there with anything less than a draw, it'll be slightly disappointing.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all, especially with how our defense performed in week 1. Or I should say game 1. Because defensively the effort was really good, and I felt like if that defense can continue to play as they did in that first match, we're going to have a really good season at the back. So yeah, against the Oakland side that I don't have a lot of faith in. I feel like I feel like we have a really good shot, on Saturday evening. So looking forward to that. Looking to see what happens out there. Like you said, getting guys like Bees and Brucey and them involved, I think opens up a lot of different avenues for us in the final third. I think it gives opportunities for guys like Hurst to get inside the area, get the ball at their feet, and take a few shots. So yeah, I mean, we could shout out any number of guys and say, hey, look at this guy, look at that guy, look at what they're gonna bring. But I think realistically, it's just a matter of getting out there again, putting on a consistent performance, open to close. And I think if we do that, it's going to be a fun night for United supporters.
The one thing about them, though, is they are scrappy.
Mm-hmm.
That Oakland team defines itself on its scrappiness, and so it is one of those teams and one of those matches that we could find ourselves up a goal late, and then end up, giving up a late one and walking out of there with a draw. But at the end of the day, I think going into it, we should feel pretty confident that we're going to get 3 points. And I think we've got a good chance to do that. And I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say 2-0. We're going to walk out of there with 3 points and 2 goals.
2-0. Okay. Yeah, I can get behind that. Yeah, I mean, I know we don't like, you typically don't like to duplicate scores, but I mean, I think that sounds about right. I don't see, again, our defense was sound. They've looked pretty good all preseason. And Alex has looked good, again, small sample size. So yeah, I think it's a really good chance to pick up 3 points. I think 2-0 is a good scoreline. Can't really argue with it in any way. Again, you watch for guys like Bees and Brucey to get involved and try to force the ball into the middle for Hurst. So, So again, 8:00 Saturday night, United taking on Oakland Roots SC. And then, of course, on Tuesday, United has because we don't want to forget about this, takes on UDA at NMSU at Rio Rancho High School in the second round of the U.S. Open Cup. You are muted, by the way. UDA obviously beat Park City SC in the first round last weekend down at NMSU, which was broadcast live on the NMSU on AggieVision on YouTube. So with Duke Keith, of all people, on the call. Duke and Heidi. What are your thoughts on the Open Cup? Do you think UDA stands a chance against New Mexico United?
If we take it serious, no. If we go in there overconfident and especially like I could see us getting like a 3-0 win at Oakland and coming in there like our shit don't stink, and then kind of getting punched in the mouth and not knowing what to do. But at the end of the day, I think especially if we just scrape by Oakland, then or heaven forbid lose to Oakland, then I would hate to be UDA if that's the case, because we could come in and be very upset and kind of lay it to them. I mean, we beat Las Vegas Legends last year 5-1, I think, and it was never really close. So I think we've talked about USL teams getting upset in the past in the Open Cup, but that's always been to League One or another USL club side or something like that. Very rarely do you see. Other than who was it that one year? Florida. Soldiers, Florida.
Florida Soccer Soldiers. Yeah.
Yeah. David, evening.
Hey, David.
Glad you hopped on this late. You missed all the talk about events that might have given you flashbacks. So I'm glad you're here. But yeah, I think we wiped the floor with them for the most part. Hopefully, I don't have to eat my words next week. We probably should. What time is that game at?
That's a very good question. I think it's 7:00 at Rio Rancho High School.
So we'll be hopping on right about the time that ends. No, we're done with it, David. We're done with it. You're fine.
Yeah.
We won't mention Lagoon Siesta Lark.
Yeah, we won't mention that at all.
But
or any more unannounced signings. So
yeah. But I think we'll be able to be hopping on there talking about hopefully 2 wins in 2 different competitions next Tuesday.
Well, David, while you're in the chat, I was actually planning on heading up to Rio Rancho for that game.
So we won't be hopping on at 9 o'clock, apparently.
So we might not be hopping on at 9 o'clock. That's my idea.
TBD.
Anyway.
TBD.
Yeah, TBD Tuesday night. What I might try to do is if they have someplace I can like plug in, I might try to do a live broadcast from up there, and kind of do like our own little watch along, play call, whatever, color commentary, and we'll see because this match is not televised. Thank you, USSF. Bleacher Report.
It is what it is, dude.
It's just like, I'm sorry, but like USSF and Bleacher Report have like royally screwed over the Open Cup this year. Like the deal with ESPN Plus was so good and had every single match on there to now select matches from each.
Oh,
we have there's a solution. Okay, David, please share.
He probably won't off the top of his head, but I do believe that we're going to be able to watch that from home.
That would be nice.
Be able to watch that game. Nice. Looking forward to that, David.
Yeah, that'd be great. Because I actually texted David about this the other day about possibly doing something up there. And so I was talking about with someone else. I was like, well, I can throw up like my 5G hotspot and try to broadcast live, but
yeah.
But if the club has a solution, we are all ears, man.
That'd be nice. It'd be nice.
It would be. Yeah, because officially that's
tomorrow, but they will have a stream. You heard it here first.
Breaking news.
First. We will have a stream.
There you go. U.S. Open Cup match at Rio Rancho High School will be streamed next Tuesday.
Some way. We will find out officially tomorrow.
Awesome.
And details tomorrow, but that is awesome news.
Thank you, David.
Appreciate you, David. You just keep giving us between you and Pete, man. We're just getting all this stuff.
You said you were done talking about that.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, that's great news. It really is. It was great to see the UDA Park City match get broadcast last week, despite it being called by Duke Keith and Heidi. You appreciate it because we get an all New Mexico second round cup match.
Duke's not bad, okay.
I will say that's the least homerish I've ever heard Duke Keith.
Well, yeah, because he didn't have a dog in the fight like he does for El Paso.
That is true. That's very true. But yeah, no, it was excited to hear that news. Great news. And I'm just really disappointed in USSF. Man, I'm glad the club has a solution for this. That's really exciting to see. But yeah, I can't. I don't understand the logic behind not broadcasting every match.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I saw David. I thought you were down there. I saw there were a number of folks that had gone down. Don't get me wrong, Duke is good on the mic. He's just such a homer. Like he really is, especially when he's calling El Paso.
I can't watch him call El Paso games.
And honestly, one of the things that bothers me the most is that like he can't pronounce Justin Portillo's last name. I'm like, dude, you work in El Paso. You call El Paso matches. How can you not pronounce Portillo? Like, I'm sorry, but
anyways, moving on. Speaking of El Paso, though, and we're almost running a little short on time, but we haven't had a whole lot to talk about United wise. We've had the one match. Meanwhile, you've got clubs that, El Paso's played 4 matches. A bunch of other teams have played 3. There's a couple that have only have 2, but even with only having 1 match played, we're still currently sitting at 6th in the West somehow.
With 3 matches in hand against El
Yeah.
Paso.
Yeah, 3 matches in hand. We're still ahead of them. 2 matches in hand, and we're behind. I look at the teams ahead of us. I'm not super surprised by any of them. Colorado Springs, Monterey Bay, San Diego Loyal, Sacramento, Republic, and San Antonio going from 5th to 1st there. Below us, you got RGV. Well, I guess tied with us, you have RGV and El Paso. And then sitting below us, you got Lights in Orange County. And then bringing up the bottom, Oakland and Phoenix. Granted, Phoenix and Oakland both have only played 2 matches, but they've yet to win a match. So they are down there towards the bottom. In the West specifically, is there any surprise there? Is there any disappointment there? Is there anybody that you would take out of your playoff spots from the prediction match or prediction episode that we did a couple weeks ago? Or are you still sticking with your guns?
At this point, I'm not changing anything in the West. I mean, Phoenix is about where I thought they'd be. El Paso, I mean, they did not quite as bad of a start as they had last season. But, I mean, 3 straight losses to open the year, it really puts them behind the 8 ball early on. I don't think I'm leaning towards not putting them in the playoffs.
I had them 12th, so
yeah.
I'm not changing anything there.
Yeah, I can't remember if I had them out or not, but they haven't looked good. They really haven't. And the win over Louisville, somewhat surprising. Louisville, was missing a few players due to international duty and some other things. Rising has not looked good. I don't see anything to be excited about if I'm a Rising supporter at this point. Oakland, we talk about Oakland, they're probably going to, come on late, as we've seen. Orange County, I'm not terribly surprised. But yeah, I mean, there's really nothing that sticks out as, being like a surprise at this point.
I think the only thing I would change on mine is I had Phoenix 5th, and I had Colorado Springs 9th. And I think I might flip-flop them to an extent. I think Colorado Springs has looked way better than I initially thought they would. And Phoenix has looked pretty bad through just 2 matches. So, but other than that, I don't think there's a whole lot to really going on there. I think San Antonio's come out. The fact that they drew at Loudoun, little surprising, but Loudoun has been pretty feisty so far. San Diego and Sacramento, both teams that we had, in that top 4 along with us and San Antonio, have looked the part. Sacramento, I believe, got a win over San Diego last week, if I'm remembering correctly. Let me pull it up real quick.
Yep.
Yeah. So those 2 teams are right there. Monterey Bay, a team that I had, I think, 7th in the playoffs in before the season started, could be a little bit better or a little bit worse. I don't know. I think I had him 6th actually. So far it's played out pretty much how we expected. I'm not gonna freak out too much. San Antonio looks a little more vulnerable than we might have thought to begin with, mainly because their bench has been non-existent with some injuries and stuff like that. I think they only had 4 players.
Yeah, I think it was 15 or 16 guys total.
Yeah, I think it was only 15, and 3 of them were academy kids that were there just to get a bench. So, but if they start to get healthy, they're going to get through that, and they are still 1st in the West, sitting on 7 points with 2 wins and a draw. So, they're probably pretty happy with how they've come away with stuff there. At the end of the day, I think it's been a pretty chalk season in the East. The West is a little different. The East has a few teams that have looked better or worse than we thought. Tampa Bay and Memphis, 2 of the teams that we thought might look a little bit better going into the season, have not looked good at all. Charleston looks pretty good as a little bit of a surprise. Pittsburgh does what Pittsburgh does, and they're still Pittsburgh. I mean, Bob Lilly still has them in the playoff spot. I know it's early, but they've looked solid, if not great, lately. In fact, they played tonight to a 0-0 draw with the Fighting Tetes, FC Tulsa. And so, they just look solid. Their defense is always going to be good. So they're there. Everybody else is kind of fighting there. We got Birmingham and Lou City sitting at the top. Doesn't really surprise me. I think Memphis and Tampa are probably the two biggest surprises in the USL Championship this season so far, in a bad way. And probably Loudoun, although they're sitting 7th. It's not like they're setting the world on fire. They're probably one of the bigger surprises in a positive way. So,
Rashid, by the way, got 45 minutes tonight. Slept
Nice.
on at halftime.
Nice.
So David, if you're in the chat, we wanted to clarify something. So, if you can, Rashid's agency put out a tweet that said that he left on a transfer to FC Tulsa. Can you clarify whether or not that was a free transfer or if there was an actual transfer? Because I thought I thought that was a free a free move for him.
Yeah.
If you can clarify that.
Yeah. And that was, I would assume that the agency knows what they're talking about, but at the same time, it's USL. So David says, no idea.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on there, but I do miss him. I do actually find myself pulling for FC Tulsa now. Actually, I'd take the back. I've kind of pulled for him since the rebrand with the gold and black and the bird logo and stuff like that. So, but now that Tete's there, I definitely have even more of a reason to pull for him over there in the East. And I want the best for him. I love that guy. In fact, there's a gentleman, I don't know his name, but I remember he had a Tete jersey in year 1. And we were standing next to him at the Black and Yellow Bash, and I leaned over. He was done leaking everything, and I said, "Hey, I know you had a Tete jersey in year 1. How you holding up?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm okay. It does suck, but because he said basically everybody that he has except for Nava has left. He said he had an Akamatsu jersey from year 1. Rob Arlo, there we go. And so yeah, he was definitely a favorite amongst a lot of people, and it does suck to see him go. I'm glad he's still in the league, though. We still get to watch him. We still get to root for him because he's not at Phoenix, Santi. And so I'm happy that we still get to do that, and hopefully he has a good year.
Yeah, I definitely wish. We said it again a couple weeks ago. Wish all the best for Rashid. He was a tremendously nice guy, fan favorite here, and yeah, I mean, it looks like he's got he's played 4 appearances for FC Tulsa so far this season, 209 minutes, 1 start on the year. So hopefully the season continues to go well for Rashid, except for when we play against Tulsa. So yeah, I mean, that's really all that I had for tonight. I don't know if you had anything else, but
no, that's it. Even though we didn't have a match, a lot happened. We had, like you mentioned at the top of the pod, we had Coach on last week. A lot of good things came out of that. We had the Black and Yellow Bash, which I was fortunate enough to attend. Got the kit release, got the Pete leaks, and Milo wasn't even a Pete leak. It was, I don't even know what happened there, but yeah, you got to learn about that. And then we get to gear up for, Oakland on Saturday, Open Cup on Tuesday, and then Monterey Bay the following Saturday. So we're gearing up. We're going to have a good run here. A lot of matches coming at us. We did learn, if you're just now joining us, David did say that they will have a stream for that match coming up on Tuesday in the Open Cup. And there'll be official details about it tomorrow. And we thank David for letting us know that a little bit ahead of time. That's pretty nice of him. And other than that, I don't have anything else. Thanks, David and Robert and Tom over in the chat.
Coach Steve.
Coming on. We need to work on getting you on the podcast, Steve, to talk about your season and what went wrong, what went right, what we can learn from it, and everything like that. And so we don't know next Tuesday exactly what's going to happen. Maybe since they're going to have a stream, maybe Seth doesn't go. Maybe he just watches it and we go at 9. Who knows? We'll figure it out. We'll bring you something Tuesday night. Maybe even if we can get this set up and Earl's available, maybe me and Earl can hop on right after it goes live or goes final. If Seth does end up going out, Maybe we can have him call in. He can do it from his phone. He can be the Blair Witch project like I was last week. But we'll figure something out. We'll get that on social media so you guys know as soon as we do get it figured out. But until next Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever we decide to record, whenever we can get it up, Somos Unidos, and we'll talk to you guys later.